Welcome to our event, Making the Most of International Women's Day. We hope you enjoy this recording and that you find it inspiring as you think through how to make the most and connect with women and men on this day in 2026. We're delighted this evening to welcome our two guests, Anne Brown and Lois Adams. They're going to be sharing with us some of the things that they've been doing over the last few years in terms of engaging with International Women's Day. So, Lois, do you want to just introduce yourself first and then I'll hand over to you?
Great. Yeah, my name is Lois Adams. My first language is Welsh, and when I get excited, I talk very fast. So I hope you really understand me. Um, and I am employed by my local church to be a creative evangelist, or community artist, sometimes I call myself. And this is they send me to other churches around Wales, Welsh speaking and English speaking, to think about creative ways of evangelism, using the creative arts, using culture, using our imagination, to create opportunities for us to share Jesus in a different way, in a way that might engage different people and use different parts of our brains. So I've been doing this now over 4 years. And yeah, before that, I used to work with UCCF, working with creative students, and I'm an artist. Um, so words are not my strong point, but art is. So bear with me as I try to describe visual stuff. Yeah.
Thanks, Lois. It's really great to have you with us. I've looked on from afar as you've done some amazing things, not just International Women's Day, but Christmas, Easter. It's just been brilliant to watch you. So we're going to hear from you first, and our hope through this is not that each of us go away wanting to copy what you've done, but that we're inspired in our own context
Mm.
to maybe use the gifts and skills that we have or our friends have in our church to connect with this day. So, Lois, over to you.
Brilliant. I thought I would share four examples or stories that I've done in the past that, yeah, might inspire you. And these are all begged and borrowed and stolen from other churches and other countries. So, yeah, please adapt them as well to your church and your content. So the big project I was involved 2 years ago was Biblical Women during International Women's Day. And it was started off by Monmouth Baptist Church. And Monmouth Baptist Church has a sort of art group. They call themselves the Art Fringe Club, run by Berna and Amanda. So they already do this weekly meeting of doing different artwork and, yeah, creating and having, and they're very good at bringing non-Christians into the group as well. And they wanted to do something with this sort of group. And they had the idea of having, during the International Women's Day, an art exhibition on the theme of biblical women. This is so they did an open call, which is basically an invitation to any female to do artwork on another female in the Bible. Um, so um, so we had people from 12 years old to, I think, 70-year old, and they were a real mixture of professional artists as well as hobbyists and some youngsters that never done art before, and it was their first time. So it was a real community exhibition. So it wasn't highbrow, white cube vibe. It was a very open, community-based exhibition. So we had young and the old, as well as non-Christians and Christians, all doing artwork inspired by another female story in the Bible. And this is a great way of getting artists who are on the fringes or maybe not Christians to open the Bible maybe for the first time. Um, and just to share you a little story, so a poet wanted to do a poem about to be engaged in this project. Um, And already somebody in the church had done a one-to-one with her. She was already on the fringes. But this project of looking at Lydia in the Bible really helped her to make that step to become a Christian. We were in Park one of the venues that had this on after Monmouth. And we had her on the artist panel, and she was supposed to represent a non-Christian or non-belief artist. And in the interview, she shared like, I think this is the first time I said it aloud, but I think I've become a Christian through this project, which is wonderful. But it's just a great way of opening the Bible and seeing stories, yes, to do artwork from, but as well, we know that the word, God's word, is powerful and can speak into the heart. Um, so yeah, so it's an open invitation for any artist to do put work in. And then the exhibition in Monmouth was held for just under a week. Um, and then a lot of other churches then was inspired by it. So he went on tour then. So he went to Parkart in Pontypridd, Ammanford, Aberystwyth, Pembroke, and Mold. Um, and all the churches did this slightly differently. But one part that made it even more effective was having events as part of the exhibition. So, exhibition is very visual, but having supportive events that sort of either shared the gospel really clearly, or having a more, events that deepen relationships. So, for example, during the exhibition, we would get questionnaires in. We would maybe offer a tour. I would do a tour around the exhibition on certain art. We might, some churches invited speakers in. So Anne Brown was one of them, talking about Jesus' encounters with women. Becca Nooms did an evangelistic talk, and we had as well artists. So we made sure in the exhibition there was non-Christian art, but as well Christian artists. So one of them was Faye Mayo, and she was able to share, did an artist talk, but also shared her artwork as well as her faith really beautifully. Um, we've had in the past workshops to be part of the exhibition. So in Monmouth, so in Mold, they invited the whole of Year 7 from the local school to come to see the exhibition. So I did the talk about how to appreciate and read art. And then they had a practical workshop where we gave them a story of three different women, had dramatic stories, and they had to read it and then come up with their own artwork on their reflections of that story. And then obviously we have like music or poetry night as part of it, or interviews as well with artists. So these events that go, yeah, complements the art exhibition, and creates, creates intrigue and brings people in, and you get good conversation. Um, so yeah, I told you a story about Catherine, who was one of the artists herself who became a Christian. Um, but then there's other stories of people coming to the exhibition and telling us, like, I didn't know about this woman. Artwork actually educated people, Christians and non-Christians, on these amazing characters that, are a testimony of God's character or Jesus's character. Um, and people came, it was educational, but as well inspiring, of people saying, like, I didn't know about this, so this is really moving. And there was I've got a lot of stories where people are really moved. In Pembroke, there's a woman who came to the tour, and the last piece of artwork I did for the tour was a poem um, about the woman who bled for 12 years. And it's a very moving piece of poetry. And I just recited it, and you can see she was in tears. And the church lets me know then she had started to come back to church after that. So artwork sort of moving people towards God. Um, so yeah, and one of my best thing I think in the exhibition when touring it was comparing the Old Testament women and their stories with comparing it with Jesus's encounters with women. So there was one piece of artwork which was Solomon's family tree, and you opened it up, and there was five. Solomon had 500 wives and concubines, and they were and this artist had drawn each face, and they looked like sheep. It was just procession. And then you compare that to Jesus' encounter with women, the love, the dignity, and it's such a brilliant contradiction because you can say, actually, no, Jesus really valued us, really loved us of who he is, and gave us, yeah, yeah, wonderful stories. So yeah, that exhibition really showed that really clearly. So yeah, that I've talked a lot about that because it's been to various churches, and it has been successful, and maybe it might inspire you. The others ideas that I've been involved in is to have a practical workshop. Um, so I know because I'm a creative evangelist and an artist, all my ideas are very arty. So I know not all women like art and craft and flowers. There is something to say about having, sporty or, athletic or fitness sort of events as well. But I'm not in that field, so I can't give you any examples of that. Um, but the workshops I have been involved in is with pottery or glass painting, flower arrangements, of inviting women, your friends, to come for the evening to create something. And that's often when you create something, it's easier sometimes to talk. It builds that friendship. You create something at the end that they can go home with to remember. Um, and there's lots of links then between the visual art and the Bible. So the pottery, that the speaker can talk about us being broken vessels, or God creating us. Or knitting, there's a lot of that. God knitted us in the womb. Um, and like light and shadow. Anyway, there's so workshop of practical stuff. Um, then another idea I've encountered and helped with is a place called Park Arts in Pontypridd. And what they do to engage with their community and to love their community, they invite a local artist to show artwork in their space. So they have a little space. It's not massive, but it's a big space, yeah, a decent space. Um, and they asked an artist, would you like a solo show? And they've done that to women as well, saying, look, we really want to invest in our local community. We know you're an artist here locally. Would you like to show artwork? And this literally, like, I've had so many artists who are shocked that the church wants to love them, give them value, show their artwork, and really invest in their career. Like I've had women like last one was in November, but she was just like, oh, and she was thinking like, who's paying for this? Oh no, no, the church. We want to love you. We want to love the community, and she just bowled over every time about the love, and felt heard as well, or felt appreciated. So that's a very simple thing of just inviting a local artist. And with that, obviously, you have to caveat, you have to make sure that the artwork is family friendly, if it's in a public space. And yeah, to just make them aware that it is a, a church space as well, so it has to work for both sides. But that's very simple, but really rewarding. Um, and then
All the hands
a
were
little story.
okay.
Um,
Sorry, there
but
was a problem with the confirmation.
yeah, so a little story with that is so Park Arts, they they thought of what things in our community we can celebrate. Um, so they noticed that there was a composer, so Morfydd Llwyn Owen in Pontypridd. She's a famous composer in Victorian times, but not very well heard about. But she's still the most the female composer in Wales that has the most composed pieces. She's still even now. Um, so they wanted to celebrate her. And even though Morfydd was brought up in church and they didn't know if she was a Christian or not, her art does um, deal with spiritual matters and the Christian faith. So they made like an awareness day for Morfydd, a local sort of female um, person of interest, of importance. But asked some Christian artists, myself and Leah, to do artwork reflecting on the spirituality of the work she was making. So yeah, just looking broader at their community, I'm thinking how can we link there. The last idea I thought I would share with you is a very recent, hot off the press. In Grange Town, at Grace Church, Grange Town in Cardiff, just before Easter, they had a concert, and they called it Encounters with Jesus. And Abby Ashkew, she's a composer and very amazingly trained, really, really talented. So what they did was took 11 encounters with Jesus from the Gospel of Luke. And so each person they had a dramatic reading of the Bible, of the story of how this person encountered Christ. And then Abby had composed lyrics and music and performed it after each sort of reading. And this music was very helped you reflect and ponder and meditate on the each encounter. So it would be different characters. So let me see, from Simeon to Nicodemus to the Samaritan woman to the sick woman to Mary. And it was a really moving time. So you had the reading, so you had the story, and fair play to the church, they read it really well. And then you had Abby then on the piano, she had guitar, and she had, yeah, she's a very talented composer, performed it then, and yeah, performed it in such a way that really helped you think through what that person went through, that person's character, and how Jesus changed them through the words and the music. And it was a little concert, and I know she's for touring it. So that's something that your church might be interested in. Um, but I can maybe answer more questions about that if you're interested. Yeah, that's a lot from me. I've just spewed everything out. Looking forwards to hear your questions.
Thank you, Lois. That was amazing, and really warm welcome to the people that have made it into our Zoom tonight. If you missed some of what Lois was saying, you can catch up afterwards or just ask her questions now. So please feel free to put questions in the chat. Lois is a community evangelist in Wales and uses her gifts and skills as an artist to help churches engage with different things through the year. And yeah, it's great to hear from you, Lois. So we'll hear from Anne next, and then we'll have a chance to ask you questions as Lois as well afterwards, Lois. So please do put questions in the chat for Lois or for Anne as she's speaking. And it's great to have you with us.
Thank you.
Let me just add you in. And it'd be really nice to hear just a little bit about you before you share your different ways in which you've engaged with International Women's Day.
Well, yeah, I never know what to say about myself, actually. Yeah, I've been involved in evangelistic events with students and women for quite a long time, wrote a book, Apology to Women, Christian Images of the Female Sex. And I think that's when I discovered, actually, I know you've had a lot of sessions about finding your voice. And I think that it was when I was writing that and talking about some of the chapters that I was writing. For instance, Mary Magdalene was a topic I spoke on quite a bit. And I realized, for instance, I did it in an art centre in Cardiff. And I had an audience that was largely, as far as I knew, non-Christian, that were interested in the whole history of Mary Magdalene and the artwork that surrounded her. And I realized that using art opened us up the way to share the gospel and the Bible with a whole lot of people that never set foot in church. So that's me. Why have I been involved in International Women's Day was a question